Yes, people, how we all doing? Hope everyone's fit and well. So I'm going to be talking about immigration and far-right views in this video. A little bit different to what I normally talk about, but it all interacts with what I've been doing previously with my videos. A few videos that I've done, or two, that stick out. I've done a video about a terrorist in Hartlepool that killed an elderly man and tried to kill more. And then I've done one about an immigrant, illegal immigrant, that killed his padmate in prison, obviously. And in the comments, I mean, don't get us wrong, this isn't all the time, but a couple of the comments, I've had people saying, oh, so you're far right and you've got far right views. Why don't you do videos about other prisoners or other people rather than immigrants and a terrorist? If you go back and look at me videos, I've done, I think it's about between 500 and 600 videos now. And these are the only videos that I've done on this. But then you've got the idiotic fools that come on and say, you've got far right views because I've done two videos on two illegal immigrants. Now this is the sad state of affairs in this country at the moment. And that's why I'm addressing this on here. That's not far right by talking about two illegal immigrants that have committed murders in this country. This channel is primarily a prison channel, and I talk about all things that's in the media at the present time that pop up in the news, or don't rather, because sometimes these murders aren't really highlighted that much, especially the ones that's happening inside the prisons. So I'm bringing this to the attention of the viewers because a lot of the time, if it wasn't for this channel, you wouldn't be hearing about these murders inside of prison. But it just so happened to be that at the time, Sasan Rabat, the one that got found guilty on the murder inside of prison, was an illegal immigrant. So I'd done a video on him. And I was accused of being far right because I'd done a video on an illegal immigrant. Wow, so bad of me, yeah? But when I do videos about the other ones, or any other prisoners, or people that have committed murders and went into prison, no one batters an eyelid. But like I've mentioned, I'm going to address it, and I'm going to give my views on immigration, and the way that I see things with the recent riots and protests. Obviously, it did start off with protests, and it got out of hand, and obviously there was riots, and it was the minority. As it is with everything, you get a group or you get a certain scenario and the minority spoil it for the rest, and the minority are the ones that get reported on the most. They don't talk about the peaceful protests. There was one up here in Newcastle. After all the madness, everyone was thinking that the one in Newcastle was going to be the worst. Everyone was going to come out and they were going to show people how to riot properly. But there wasn't any trouble at the one in Newcastle. It was a peaceful protest. So my views on it, it all started off because of obviously what happened with the poor little girls that were murdered. May they rest in peace. But things were starting to have a bit unrest before then. But then that sparked it off, and then the media, the way they were putting things across, and then everyone started protesting. But they weren't protesting against them murders, although they were in the place where it happened in Southport or Stockport, sorry. But it did start off when they were protesting there. Then the protests went on to other areas and other cities. But they weren't, in my eyes, my views, they weren't protesting against the actual immigrant or the supposed immigrant that committed the murders, because he was from Wales, although his parents were migrants. And everyone was protesting against the immigration and the mass immigration that's happening. Not the ones that are coming over here legally, it's the ones that are coming over illegally on the boats. Those are the ones that every UK citizen, or just about the UK citizens, were getting sick of and getting fed up with, that all of these were coming over and they were going unscrutinised. They were getting put up in hotels, and sometimes you've seen a few different documentaries on YouTube where over in France, before they get here, they're getting told how to behave, they're getting told what questions to answer when they get here, or how to answer the questions rather. And everyone was getting sick of them coming into the country and the government's not sending them back. They're putting them up into hotels, putting them on benefits, filling up our towns and cities with the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, without sending them back. But this is what all the protesting is about. And this is what the country are still fed up with. Because they're coming into the country, they're taking up all the resources. This country's a shit state at the moment as it is. And there's thousands and thousands coming across all the time. It's not getting stopped. And it's not the immigrants' fault. The ones that are coming from these third world countries. These are my views. I don't blame them. If they're over in these third world countries and you're getting told, get to the UK, you will be given a house, or you'll be given accommodation. It might not be a house, but you will get accommodation. You will get put on benefits and you will be looked after. What person wouldn't want that if they're living in a third world country, or they're living in a shit state of a country and they're not getting any money where they're at? Obviously, they're passing through all these other European countries and they're not giving them what the UK does. So they're wanting to get here. So who blames them? If you were over there, if I was in their country over there and I got told, go to the UK, you'll be given accommodation and money and a safe life. Of course, you're going to want to try and get here. So it's not their fault. It's the government's fault. The government aren't putting a stop to it. They're not stopping them from getting over the channel, which they should be doing. And they're not stopping the benefits and accommodation. If that wasn't in place, if there wasn't there, they wouldn't be so desperate to get here, risking their lives coming across the channel to get here, because the government is making it a free-for-all. They're wanting to get here because of all the benefits and accommodation that they're going to be given. So who blames them for that? Those are my views. Everyone's got their own entitlement to their own views, but I don't blame them for wanting to get here and have a better life. It's the government that everyone's fed up with, and it's the protests that were about the government. And like I mentioned, you've got the minority that were a bit, or are racist, and they are a bit backwards, some of them, a bit naive and a bit ignorant towards the situation, and they're taking it out on the wrong people. They were taking it out on local shops, taking it out in the local areas and smashing their own towns up, which to me was idiotic and daft. Obviously, the young people that are going out doing it, they know no better. They're brought up on rough housing estates. To them, it doesn't matter what the agenda was. To them, it's a bit of fun. Let's go and join in the riots. Let's go and have a smash up, get pissed up and cause some havoc because they get a thrill out of it. That's what it was all about for them. It wasn't about anything else. And they went out with the idiotic views, shouting on about black people and Asians and different things like that, and Muslims, when again they're torn everyone with the same brush. But these ones were a minority, and these are the ones that got plastered all over the news, so it looked as if all these protests were racist, when in fact it's actually not. It's against the government. But this is what they want. They want unrest in the country. They don't want the likes of me speaking out about this on here. And I will mention, obviously, Tommy Robinson. He's been on doing it for years, and a lot of people hate him because they don't understand him properly. But when you look at some of the podcasts that he does, there's a one just been on recently where he's walking around Benidorm, Alicante, and the Brits are embracing him, they're cuddling him, they want pictures with him. And then there was this question asked saying, you've got the likes of Tommy Robinson walking around the streets getting embraced by everybody. There wasn't one hate. And I'm talking people from different races, not just white people, not just white English. I'm talking about black people as well. Meeting him in the streets, shaking his hand, saying, well done on what you're doing for speaking up. And then they turned around and said, what would you do if Keir Starmer was walking around these streets? Do you think he would be greeted the same as Tommy Robinson has just been greeted? So that goes to show, or that's a massive statement in itself there. But there'll be people watching this now saying, oh, you're a Tommy Robinson supporter, you're far right, you're one of them. I'm not a Tommy Robinson supporter. I can understand where he's coming from. And when you do watch some of his podcasts that he does recently, he talks a lot of sense. But obviously, they mix it up and they portray him in a different light, which a lot of people will probably, I'll be getting mixed reviews on this video now. There'll be people coming on saying you're racist, you've got far right views, but you couldn't get any further from the truth. I've got friends from all over the world, all different races and ethnicities. When I was in on my last sentence on a recall, serving a sentence and a recall in Home House, two of me fucking best friends in the prison, one was Jamaican, the other was an Indian. So you can't come on saying I'm a racist. My book that I wrote whilst in prison, which was Behind the Bars Ruthless Fitness, all about physical and mental fitness training. Singy, I'll mention the names, Singy, the Indian lad obviously, and Sash, who was the Jamaican lad. We used to do circuits together on the yard, we got extremely fit together, and then I wrote my book whilst I was in there, and I've actually mentioned them in the back of my book. So if I was racist, I wouldn't be going on to mention two different race ethnicities in my book. And this is where a lot of people get things mixed up. They'll probably not even get to this part of the video and they'll start saying you're far right, you've got far right views. But I wanted to come on here and say my piece and express what I think about the protests and the way I feel. Because there's millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands, I'm not sure on the exact figures, that are in this country, immigrants, obviously there's millions, who've come over legally. They've getting visas, they're coming over here to work. I haven't got a problem with anyone like that. They're coming over here for a better life. They're putting food on the table for the families. They're working. Some of them are grafting their asses off more than what the Brits are to make a living. And they're not even getting as much money. So them, or those type of people, or those immigrants, they're the ones that are coming over here and making the country better because they're coming over here working, and some of them actually doing jobs that the Brits won't do. Because there is a lot of lazy ass Brits that won't get off the horses to fucking work. And then you've got these migrants that come over that want to work and they're making a living for themselves just to have a better life. But there's a couple of videos that I've seen on TikTok, and these immigrants were actually supporting the protests. Not supporting riots, but they were supporting the protests in the manner that they were saying they've got to pay a certain amount of money every year to the government. This is what people don't understand or realise as well. When you come over here to work from a foreign country and you get a visa, you've got to extend your visa every year, every few years, and it costs thousands. And these are the ones that are also upset, saying why we have to come here, we have to pay to be in the country, to pay on a visa. But yet these illegal immigrants are coming in and they're getting everything. They don't have to pay anything towards the government. They don't have to pay anything towards taxes. So even they find the whole situation unfair. There was another video that I watched as well, where a Muslim fella from the United Arab Emirates was criticising the UK government, saying, why are you letting all of these people out? The United Arab Emirates have not accepted any illegal immigrants or any immigrants from these surrounding areas. And he turned around, I wish I found the video and taped it to put it on. If I can't find it, I will put it on at some point. I'll look back for it. He turned around and said, all of the people that the UK is accepting is the ones that they've actually either expelled from the country because they don't want that type of person in their country, the ones that are committing crimes, sometimes hideous crimes. They kick them out and the UK accepts them in. They were saying, you are letting your country go to ruin. You're inviting all of these people into your country that the Muslim countries are kicking out because they don't want them in. And these are the ones that are giving the Muslims a bad name. So that is he was actually high up, this Muslim fella as well, well-to-do. And he was talking about his own, well, not his own, he didn't class them as his own, he classed them as, this was the way he actually described it. He says, imagine every week you're putting your trash out and you build it up and you're ready for the bin men to take your trash away. That's what they do with the ones they don't want in their country. But instead of the trash man taking the trash away, the UK is taking them in, and that was the way he actually described it, and that was coming from someone in the United Arab Emirates. So that was a little bit more I would like to add to that video. And again, just to clarify things and put things across, the way I've just described everything, that was my own interpretation and my views. And I'm not far right, and I'm not racist, and I'm not anti-immigration. I just don't like the fact that all these illegal immigrants are coming in unchecked and they're getting planted or put all over our local towns, villages, cities, and they're taking up all the housing and accommodation. There's people in my village, we're just from a little town in County Durham, which is built up of loads of different villages, and there's never been problems with housing. For instance, my brother is having a non-fault eviction. Obviously, as it says, non-fault, it's no fault of his own because he's in a 2-bedroom house. The landlord wants to use the other room to house immigrants because they get more money for having 2 in one house. So my brother has been on the non-fault eviction list for 8 months. He's supposed to have been out 6 months ago, but he can't get housed anywhere. And this is all to do with mass immigration coming into the country, and my town and village is now getting filled up with immigrants, and there's no room to house the locals that are looking or getting evicted for non-fault evictions. So that is what people are wanting to stand up against and have a voice about, but they're scared to talk about it, because as soon as they open their mouth and talk about anything like this and mention migrants or immigration, they get classed as far right and they get griefed, they get jeopardised. And another little thing I will add for the people that are watching this and the ones that want to have their own views on me, in my own gym, in my hometown, I do have 2 immigrants that come to my gym. They're welcomed into my gym. Like I've mentioned, I'm not against them. It's nothing that is their, well, it is their own fault because they're here, but in my eyes, I don't blame them. I blame the government. But that's my views, and that's what I wanted to get across for some of the idiots, the ignorant people that are saying why you're doing videos about immigrants. But it wasn't just about doing the video for them, because I wasn't wasting my energy on them. I just wanted to have my input and actually talk a bit about something different on the channel instead of just banging on about prison all the time. But yes, I think I'll leave that one there for now because I've went on quite a bit. Those are my views. You can love them or hate them. That's your decision. We've all got our own freedom of speech to an extent. Sometimes you can't say anything without getting penalised. But I'll leave that one there for now, people. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And if you did, remember to comment, like and subscribe. Take care, everyone.